Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to 5 ways British and American suburbs look very different, and I guess we're going to see. This is a recently posted video from Lost in the Pond, and I think he did a suburb video somewhat recently, or I just reacted to one somewhat recently, but yeah, 5 ways they look different. I mean, one I'm going to say for sure is US suburbs are a lot more spread out. You've got a lot more space, I feel like, compared to suburbs in the UK for sure, but and the houses are bigger. And I mean, other ones, I'm not sure. We're going to see. And yeah, let's jump into this. Links are also in the description to my Patreon, where you can see reactions that I can't post to YouTube. Movie reactions, TV series reactions, all that good stuff. Links are there for those interested. And yeah, let's just jump into this.
Why are there so many words for this? And what do you call it, other than that grassy thing over there?
Hello, I'm Lawrence, and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond. And one of those memos pertains to the
Look how blue it
suburbs.
is, by the way. It's just like the perfect sunny day. Like, we've had a very few of those in the UK this year in the summer.
Specifically, how they differ when you go for a walk around them. For having lived in the suburbs of both countries,
Yeah, I mean, looking at suburbs, the space in this suburb is just not even comparable. Suburbs in the UK, you're not got this space nowhere near.
Doggy. For having lived in the suburbs of both countries, I'm well attuned to those differences, and so I'm going to talk about them today. Now, before we do that, if you haven't had a chance to subscribe to this channel, do that now.
Also, the roads are a lot bigger in US suburbs. I'm already picking up things. The roads are much bigger. That's just another easy example.
Oh. In the meantime, let's go for a walk. Let's go. You gonna keep going? You just love the camera, don't you? You're such a ham. You're such a ham. Look at you. And we're going to start this list by talking about something you may or may not have heard of called verges. Verges are that little strip of grass on the other side of the pavement from the front yard. While these do exist in Britain, it's far more common to see a front yard / garden, a sidewalk / pavement, and then the road with the cars going in the other direction. In America, it feels like 80% of the time you are on the verge of a verge. There are a lot of verges here, and it's nice having them. I just wish that when I bought my house, somebody would have told me that I would be responsible for mowing them, because while it
Oh, so it's your responsibility still?
sounds like small work, it's made harder by the fact that there's always a tree in the way. And while we're on the subject of trees, I'm highly sure that it does.
That's a big ass tree.
I've talked before about how there are different types of trees here, but that's not what I want to talk about. Nor the notion that your average American suburb has more of them, because I'm not entirely sure that it does. In fact, I want to talk about greenliness. What's greenliness, Lawrence? Greenliness is a word that I made up to describe the degree to which something is green. Sort of like what cleanliness does for the word clean. I want to get a word into the dictionary. And I can't really describe it, but I think there's something different about the greenliness of American trees compared to those in the United Kingdom. I'm not a scientist, but I think there's a vibrancy to the leaves of trees in the United States that you just don't see in Britain. And I do wonder if some of that is due to photosynthesis, right? That's what we learned about in school.
I mean, they do look, it looks very green to the point of like it being artificial, but it looks very nice in the same sort of, like, it just looks too green to what I'm used to. Like, I was thinking, near the start of the video, like, it's so blue in the sky. The grass is, all the grass is so green. The trees are green. It just looks like the perfectly sort of utopian sort of looking place in terms of the plants and the colours and stuff. It looks like really bright. Flipping, I've got a flipping frog in my throat. Yeah, it looked like just, well, I forgot to say now, to be honest. But it looks very green and very colourful and bright, and if I showed out my window right now, it does not look bright. I don't think there's any plants in my street, to be honest.
There's typically less cloud cover here in the United States compared to Britain, and I think that allows the greenliness of not just the trees but the grass to take shape. I won't do that with a camera ever again.
See, look, bro, this in the UK would, firstly, you wouldn't find anywhere like this, but this would be like, say this was in, I mean, this is Chicago, right? Say this was in, I'm just going to say London. This would cost millions to have houses like this. Millions. And this would be in the nicest areas. This looks like, I mean, obviously he's probably picked up an image or whatever from a nicer looking suburb area. Like, these suburbs look very nice. And I know suburbs are typically like nicer looking areas anyway, but This looks like it's a utopian flipping, like just a utopian place. So green. All the grass is so perfectly cut. It's all green. What the fuck?
Perhaps the most enduring image of a stereotypical American house is not the house itself, but the white picket fence that surrounds it.
But while America undoubtedly has more of these than Britain, a lot of American suburban homes are perhaps more notable for having no partition whatsoever.
In other words, there's often very little protecting your front yard from wandering humans.
See, I always thought that there's not really gates usually, is there? It's like an open area leading to your house, and I mean, it's not like a fence is going to stop someone, but it's just that sort of added a bit of privacy, I guess. People can just walk onto your front garden and I guess just come up to your door without anything blocking them, kind of thing.
Or even children. Thankfully, despite the open invitation, people typically stick to the sidewalk, unless their name contains the words gym and chainsaw.
In Britain, an open face...
Oh, mate, this is the most British looking street, to be honest. This probably looks so depressing to people who live in some of these areas in the US, like in the suburbs in the US, because this just looks... I mean, yeah, this just looks very dull and depressing. And you see the roads, man. Like, this is one of the reasons I'm kind of like not excited to learn to drive. And like, I would be more eager if I was in the US, because you see the roads, they're so much wider, you've got so much more space. Look how cramped it is here. And like, look at, I mean, this person's just parked it, but they've just parked their car here, yeah? And someone's just parked up here. Now your car's just stuck. And again, I assume, you can't park in front of someone's driveway anyway, but some people probably do, you know what I mean?
His front yard is considerably less common, with most houses opting not for a fence but a low-lying wall or hedge. In fact, it's often along these walls that you'll find our next entry.
In the past, I've talked about the general difference between British and American street names. For example, in Britain, virtually every town and city has a street named after Queen Victoria, whereas in the US, there's a good chance that your street name will contain either a president, a number, or a type of tree.
But there's also a major difference.
A number? What?
In how the street names are displayed.
In Britain, it's not uncommon for the name to be displayed on a 2-foot placard. These are normally mounted either onto 2 low-level poles or a wall.
In the US,
If it's on a wall, I guess it's usually a lot nicer, I guess. I mean, I don't really remember seeing them on walls, but I know they definitely are.
things are a little different. The street names are housed on smaller, greener placards that sit on a much taller pole. And given the grid-like nature of many American neighborhoods, these poles usually contain not one, but 2 street names. One facing east or west, the other north or south.
What?
This is why you'll often hear American film characters say something like, "Hey, Johnny, meet me at 21st and Washington on the double."
In Britain, we don't really do that. It's more like, meet me at the pub at 9 a.m. Bring your darts.
Pretty true.
And then there's the terminology we use to describe the stuff in our respective suburban lands. You've got yard instead of garden, sidewalk instead of pavement, a downspout instead of a drain pipe, although Americans do also say drain pipe, median instead of central reservation, and finally,
Wait, what's that?
also say drain pipe. Median instead of...
Is this just like... I'm kind of confused. Why is this in the middle? Is this just to like sort of section it off, I guess?
central reservation. And finally, there's a word difference for something that I spoke about earlier. Verges. At least
But the verges, I mean, maybe not here, but the verges all look so like well kept. I mean, they're not common in the UK, but I remember when I used to walk to school, there's a few roads that I went past that had that kind of, and it was basically just a garden, pavement, and then the verges or whatever. But they were always so badly kept. It was like half-grown grass, soil, like, and it wasn't like so. It was kind of like this, but a lot more soily. Like the grass wasn't as healthy, I guess you could say, because there's obviously not much sun or whatever. Yeah, but they don't look like how they look in the US, like, for sure.
verges are what we call them in England.
In America, verges must be so prevalent that no single American can agree on what to call them.
In Pennsylvania and parts of the Midwest, they apparently call it a berm. In the upper Midwest, it's a boulevard or a boulevard strip.
Bro, look how green this place is. Flipping hell.
New Englanders might go with a common. In parts of Ohio, it's called a curb strip, while in other parts of Ohio, it's called a devil strip. People in Ann Arbor, Michigan have been known to call it an extension lawn, which makes sense because it's an extension of your lawn. New Jersey seems to like the term grass bay, while others on the East Coast go with grass plot. Except for Long Islanders who think it's an island strip. In the Pacific Northwest, the word median suffices, while Northern Californians think it's a mow strip. Down in the Gulf state,
Jesus, so there's genuinely over 10 words for this thing.
it's often known as neutral ground, which also makes sense because while a verge might be an extension of my lawn, other people's dogs do routinely shit on it. What do you call this, Arthur? You probably just call it toilet, don't you? Yes.
This looks more like a British one. Again, just with less grass.
Some states know it as a parking strip, a park row, or a park row strip. In Wisconsin and Illinois, it occasionally goes by a right-of-way. Alternatively, some Americans opt for sidewalk lawn, sidewalk plot, sidewalk strip, and in central Indiana, I once heard it called a sidewalk taint, like, what? In southern Florida, some might even call it a swale, even though that sounds more like a species of fish. Some Missourians call it a terrace, which coincidentally is what the British call row houses, while some Americans will call it a tree box, a tree belt, or a tree lawn. Why are there so many words for this? And what do you call it, other than that grassy thing over there? Let me know in the comments below. And that's it for...
I don't even know what I call it, to be honest. I've never, because they're so rare, I've never really heard a name for them. I live in Western Pennsylvania, and I always call the strip of grass between the street and the sidewalk the strip of grass. Fair enough. That's probably what I would have called it as well. You named 15 or so names for something I've never heard. I never knew had a name. That's what I'm saying. I never knew had a name either. And yeah, this is a little look into this. I mean, just from this video alone, in his neighborhood, you can just see how different it looks. But obviously, I know they're not all gonna look the same. Maybe these, like the footage of the certain things that he showed, like it was the stock footage, right? Was it stock footage or was it just his? This one. This looks surely this is like an upper class suburban area. Like this can't just be what most suburbs look like. Because if that's the case, then there's just nothing like this in the UK other than I guess like the rich areas like in London. You got nice areas in cities and stuff that richer people would live pretty much. But I wouldn't even say the suburbs. Well, the suburbs don't look like this in the UK. The nice areas may look a bit like this, but you wouldn't have the open grass. It wouldn't look as sort of like clean cut and stuff. It would all be like, I guess, like you'd have fences around it and have your own private space where it looks nice on the inside, but you just can't look in. But I mean, this is going to be so dumb, right? But most American looking British street. What is this? This does look American. Where the hell is this? I can't be asked to press that because it's not going to take me to it. I mean, I want to look at the street. I mean, this doesn't look American. This looks beautiful. I don't know where the hell this is, but this is one of the nicest looking streets I've ever seen. God damn. See, this is a street that I don't think people would live on, but in terms of the history, you can't beat that. But yeah, I don't know what it is. These just look so. I'm so unused to this stuff, especially for like housing and stuff. It's just very new to me. But hopefully you enjoyed. My voice is going, so I'm just gonna stop here. But yeah, until next time, like, subscribe. Peace.